Today, we're looking at 15 great Nintendo Switch eShop deals under $10, or your regional equivalent covering the US, Canada, UK, EU, and Australia. Now, some of these all-time low prices, some underrated gems, but every single one a fantastic deal. I've also then got a $10 eShop gift card winner to announce later in the video, but also, of course, one more to give away. Now, if you want to enter, it's simple. Drop a comment down below, and then I'll announce the winner next Thursday. Before we do jump in though, I have a quick favour to ask. At the time of recording, we are so very close to hitting 70,000 subscribers. Take a look at the screenshot on screen. We are just 80 away. So if you haven't already, consider subscribing. It genuinely helps a small channel grow. And in return, you'll get daily Switch content with none of the fluff. So reviews, deals, performance deep dives, news, list. But no rumours, no filler, and absolutely no AI voiceovers. It's just real coverage every single day. Alright, now let's get into it. Rogue Trooper Redux is 90% off, matching its lowest ever price, and this is a remaster of a cult classic. It's a third-person tactical shooter with light stealth elements wrapped in comic book grit and old-school pacing. Now, you'll be playing as the last surviving genetic infantryman, a bioengineered soldier bred for war, and yeah, they're betrayed by their commander. Now armed with sentient gear and a thirst for vengeance, you wage a one-man war across crumbling war zones and sci-fi trenches. The Redux treatment here brings in HD visuals, sharper lighting, and a reworked control scheme that makes this forgotten 2000s release feel surprisingly solid on Switch. Now, it's not flashy by modern standards, but the campaign is still fun to chew through, and the added online co-op gives it a dash more life. So yeah, this is the kind of scrappy AA shooter that doesn't pretend to be anything more, and that's what makes it work. Kao the Kangaroo is 87% off, hitting a new all-time low price, and this one's a 3D action platformer in the Saturday morning cartoon kind of tradition. Bright, bouncy, and packed with punchy combat. Now you'll play as titled Kao, a boxing glove-wearing kangaroo on a quest to find his missing father, hopping through colourful worlds full of puzzles, hazards, and boss fights. It's designed as a throwback to the golden age of platforming, and for the most part, it lands the vibe. Simple mechanics, secret-filled levels, and just enough combat to keep things moving. That said, launch was not kind to this game. Frame rate issues, crashes, a brutal bug that could wipe your progress entirely. It made it a hard sell early on. Now, thankfully, most of that has been patched. What hasn't changed is the voice acting. Still loud, still grating, and yeah, I couldn't stand it. But look, if you can stomach the chatter, there is a solid, family-friendly adventure here. Risk of Rain is 75% off, matching its lowest price to date, and this is a roguelike action platformer that really helped define the genre long before it exploded. Each run here drops you into a hostile alien world where enemies scale with time. The longer you take, the harder everything gets. That ticking clock mechanic creates this brilliant tension between exploring for items and racing to survive. The 2D pixel art as well might look simple, but the game's systems are anything but. With over 100 stackable items, runs can basically spiral into chaos or end in a single mistake. It is tough, it's unpredictable, and it's really at its best in 4-player online co-op, because basically coordination and panic there blend into something really special. The sequel then is also on sale, also 75% off, also incredible. It took things 3D. I've also heard that one, its performance is way better on Switch 2, but I'm yet to check it out. So do expect an indie roundup of Switch 1 and Switch 2 video very soon, and yeah, I'll definitely be including it. SOULVARS is 80% off, matching its lowest price yet, and this one's a deck-building turn-based RPG with an unusual twist. It's a combat system that's built around something called soul-bit actions, basically devastating combos. You chain them together. You'll be playing as a freelance soul bearer in a future where human souls can be digitized and, well, unfortunately corrupted. Basically, though, there's these dominators threatening the city, and it's your job to take contracts, hunt them down, and survive. Every fight here is a puzzle, where reading enemy patterns and managing your hand are just as important as your stats or gear. It's also worth noting this was originally a mobile game, but it's a premium one. It topped the RPG charts in Japan back in 2022. This console release justified. And the Switch version itself isn't just a port, it's been properly reworked. You know, the visuals, the UI, full controller support, of course. It just feels right at home on console. The battles then fast, flashy, and deeper than the pixel art suggests, and once you get to this point where you're tuning your deck between missions, it really gets its hooks in, and yeah, for me, a genuine hidden gem. Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales is 75% off, matching its lowest price to date, and this one's a narrative-driven RPG with card-based combat. It's built by the same team behind The Witcher 3, of course, and it's a story set between the events of the core games, where you play as a queen fighting to reclaim her kingdom from an invasion. It plays like a classic isometric RPG with exploration, choices, resource management, and yeah, it's all tied to your leadership as a ruler. But when it's time to fight, battles unfold through Gwent-inspired card mechanics. These are puzzle-like, very streamlined, but also surprisingly entertaining. Now, I do want to say here as well, it's not just a side story, it's a full-fledged Witcher tale, so think political betrayal, brutal wartime choices, and some of the sharpest writing, honestly, in the franchise. For me, I think it's easily one of the most overlooked RPGs on the eShop. Nobody Saves the World plus the DLC bundle is 65% off, matching its lowest price yet, and this one's a shape-shifting action RPG from Drinkbox Studios. That's the team behind Guacamelee, incredible game, and this one, every bit as creative as that one. Now you'll start as literal nobody, a blank slate with no pants and no power, but through quests and chaos, you unlock over 15 weird and wonderful forms, from horses to robots to eggs, and each one has its own mechanics. And you can basically mix and match abilities to create some truly kind of unhinged builds, like a ranger that explodes on impact or a slug that shoots fireballs. Dungeons scale then with your strength, the overworld is packed with secrets, and the whole thing is playable solo or in co-op. The DLC then introduces a new overworld area and also late game challenges that really double down on creativity and combat. If there is one caveat with this game, it's just that the end game gets very menu-centric. With so many skills, each of these forms has a different tree as well. Yeah, you're transforming. It's a lot of juggling, basically. It can slow the pace. But I do think that is a small gripe for one of the most imaginative action RPGs on the system. If you do want to see my full review, it's in the pinned comment. Garlic is 60% off, matching its lowest price to date, and this one is a tightly tuned 2D platformer with a surreal edge and a lot of personality. You play as an onion-headed boy trying to climb the sacred tower and win the heart of a cyber goddess. And that really sets a tone for what is an unapologetically strange and often hilarious adventure. The core movement here feels great. There's a satisfying kind of dash mechanic, it adds speed and style to each level. It can definitely be challenging too. Checkpointing, however, on the back of that is generous enough to keep it feeling fun and not like Super Meat Boy frustrating. Visually then, it leans into nostalgic kind of pixel art with just enough absurdity to stand out, and the boss fights throw some wild curveballs your way. Yeah, really strange game, this one. It's not the longest experience either, but it is creative from start to finish. It will surprise you at every single turn because it's just not afraid to get weird. So if you like your platformers a little offbeat, this is absolutely worth a look. Retro City Rampage is 80% off, and then Shakedown Hawaii, the sequel, is 85% off, both hitting all-time lows. Now these two are throwbacks to the original GTA, delivering open-world carnage with a heavy dose of satire and style. Retro City Rampage, that's pure 8-bit anarchy, part action game, kind of part like pop culture blender. Think missions, arcade challenges, ton of visual gags. It's just loud, it's fast, and it's dense with secrets. It's basically perfect for players who want to, create mayhem. Then Shakedown Hawaii dials things up with a 16-bit tropical island presentation, where you play a washed-up CEO turning to extortion, rezoning, and sabotage to rebuild your crumbling empire. Now, both of these games have tight controls, dense maps, and a lot more substance than their retro art style might suggest. So if you're into like open-world destruction and sharp humor, these two, easy recommendations. No More Heroes and No More Heroes 2 are both 75% off, matching their lowest prices to date. And if you want something loud, stylish, and deeply immature in all of the best ways, this is the series. Now you play as Travis Touchdown, a dude with a beam katana, a motorbike, and a dream of becoming the #1 assassin in the world. The first game drops you into the bizarre city of Santa Destroy, where you take on increasingly absurd ranked killers, earning your shot at each fight by grinding out cash through somewhat janky mini-games. It is really messy, but it's weird and full of attitude, and that's exactly kind of the point. That's what makes it work. No More Heroes 2 then tightens things up. It ditches the open world. It leans harder into the hack and slash chaos. The story gets even more unhinged. The fights here are faster and flashier, and it never stops with the wild ideas. I've said it before, I love this series, and if you're into the energy and the creativity, both games are essential. They won't be for everyone though, so do find both of my reviews in the pinned comments. Breathedge is 75% off, hitting a new all-time low, and if you're into survival games with personality, this is one of the best. You play as a regular guy hauling your grandpa's ashes across the galaxy, only to get stranded in deep space after a crash. From there, it's a darkly comic descent into crafting chaos where you scavenge oxygen, build gadgets, and try not to die from freezing, electrocution, or blunt trauma, often while being mocked by a sarcastic AI and a chicken. It's that strange. The survival loop though is genuinely great, especially in the early chapters, exploring wreckage, moving in 360 degrees, managing resources, slowly building out a station. The humour then as well, it's hit or miss dependent on your taste, but alongside the atmosphere and the tension, it works surprisingly well. That said, the game's story was released episodically, and it stumbles hard in the final act, shifting into this kind of lackluster corridor shooter that just undercuts all of the clever design that came before. Still though, the first 10 to 15 hours of story mode, absolutely essential. Batman Arkham Asylum is 60% off, matching its lowest price to date, and while it's included in the trilogy bundle, this one is the best in my opinion. The sequel, the follow-up, was great too, but that's also on sale, but Arkham Knight, skip that on Nintendo. I love the game itself, but even on Switch 2, it is an absolute mess. It struggles to even run and crashes half the time. Asylum, however, holds up brilliantly. This is a masterclass in focused, atmospheric game design, and it's set over one night inside Gotham's twisted psychiatric prison, and it delivers this grounded, kind of self-contained narrative with Joker at his most manic and this tight cast of villains that never overstay their welcome. The combat feels fantastic though. It's so fluid and weighty, and it's incredibly rewarding, whether you're clearing a room with perfect timing or picking enemies off with the stealth mechanics. And yet overall, this one's kind of this blend of exploration, stealth, and comic book action, and it really does define the genre. Knights and Bikes is 50% off, matching its lowest price to date, and this one's a heartfelt action-adventure really about childhood, imagination, and friendship. Now, it's set on a gloomy British island filled with secrets and folklore. Now, you play as two characters, either solo or in co-op, on a scrappy quest to uncover an ancient curse, armed with water balloons, plungers, frisbees, and a boombox that is loud enough to wake the dead. The whole thing plays like a storybook brought to life with hand-painted visuals and a tone that shifts from silly to unexpectedly emotional. So whether you're solving puzzles, dodging curses, or just riding your bikes around with a goose named Captain Honkers, it is full of charm and sincerity. It's not just about saving the island either. This one's really about the imagination. It's about friendship. It's about grief. It's about growing up. And I think few indies on the eShop really hit that note as well as this one. Our winner of the week then is on screen right now. Congrats on the win. Email me for the code, and everyone else, drop a comment down below for your chance in next Thursday's video. The Missing JJ Macfield and the Island of Memories. It's 75% off, matching its lowest price to date, and if you want weird, you've found it. Now, this was directed by Swery, best known for Deadly Premonition, and in my opinion, this is probably his best, most focused work. Now, you play as JJ. You're searching for a missing friend on a mysterious island where you literally cannot die. Instead, you solve puzzles by deliberately injuring yourself, set your body on fire, break limbs, get decapitated. It's also you can push deeper into a narrative that's actually far more personal than it may first appear. Yeah, this one's surreal. It's often honestly disturbing at points, but it's also actually thoughtful. So yeah, basically it's strange and I love it. I'd probably say watch a review or two first, but this is a really unique adult, I'll put that out there, adult game. And that is the video down. What will you be adding to the library this week? Let me know in the comments. With that, subscribe. Again, we're approaching quickly 70,000, so all of that support means a huge amount. And yeah, watch out for more reviews, deals, and lists right here on the channel. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers on.